Hello, everyone. Welcome to another show, a Career Talk with IT professionals. And today we have an Enterprise Performance Management Head, or EPM Head for short. And our guest today is Kristian. Sir Kristian, can you say hi to our audience?
Hello, how's everyone?
Right,
How are you guys?
yes, yes. So, sir, what is an EPM or Enterprise Performance Management Head? Describe
Okay,
your role for us.
sige. I know it's not a common role. I'm not particularly sure if a lot of company is using it, and I'm not surprised if not none of your audience or even you yourself know what it is. Okay, so it's basically analytics plus planning and forecasting combined to it. Okay, so probably everybody knows what analytics is or business intelligence. It's one and the same. It's just that this title was actually followed from if people in your audience would know SAP or SAP products, it was followed in the SAP space. Because when you talk about forecasting, planning, and budgeting, you always need the actuals. You always need historical data before you do those, of course, right? So it just made sense from their product perspective when they were consolidating all their products. Probably they did the same. They knew that if you were to do your forecasting, if you to do your budgeting, you'll get it from business intelligence data, the actuals, and then spit it out into that system. So basically, it's a different system. It's also a different system, okay? But we've combined it into one tower here in Jollibee. And I think SAP is doing the same, and we follow the same footsteps. It's just that I'm not strictly SAP. I'm also using other tools
Right.
there.
And sir, if let's say a company doesn't have an EPM head,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
what could happen? Like what's the risk, or what's the great
Well,
advantage that they should have an EPM? Maybe that's something
EPM.
they should consider then.
Well, in other companies, probably what they're doing is that their business intelligence or analytics is already in one tower. That's a given. Okay. Um, Not a lot of companies. I would say. Okay. I've been with some multinational companies, San Miguel, and AIG. So they started using other tools for their planning. Okay, when I was with San Miguel, we were using Oracle Hyperion, but eventually I heard that they moved to SAP as well. When I was with AIG, we were heavily using SAP. And now with Jollibee, we're embarking probably in Anaplan. We still don't know. We're still evaluating, but we're leaning towards Anaplan. So if other companies didn't have an EPM head, it's fine, it's okay. It's just that it would be segmented, like what they're doing right now. If they need actual data, they'd always talk to the BI head, or they'd always talk to their analytics head because they need the actual data. They won't be able to plan, they won't be able to forecast without any baseline. Okay, and probably they're doing the same right now. It just made sense for us, again, as I mentioned, it just made sense for us to put it in one tower so that the communication and alignment is easier. Even the systems are within my tower, so the teams will collaborate easier as well. So all of the advantage, you take all of that advantage in terms of alignment and connecting all those systems together. It's just a lot easier. That's what I would say.
Right, right, right.
Mm.
And since you did mention a little power, collaboration, no? How would you
Yep.
describe your management style? Um, Both technical management and also your human management style.
Okay. Actually, it's been a debate for a while. I've been a manager for 10 years, I think. So I've been handling people since 2010, I think. And it's been a debate for middle managers when you're starting out, especially on our industry, whether do you give up the technology, your technical skills, and focus on management, or do you do hybrid? I would say most of us still go into that middle ground because at the end of the day, if you do not know your technology, you do not know how it runs, people will not respect you, your resources will not respect you. But at the same time, when you're talking to people, it's just easier when you know how your system works, right?
Right. Yeah.
That's just the practicality of things. So, in terms of, you mentioned, how is it? How's my management style? In terms of technical, yeah, I still try to dip as hard as I can, but of course, it's not sustainable. I mean, I can't still read codes, or I can't still do codes, right? But as much as possible, I know how to read the system. I know how to configure the system. The basic stuff I still know, okay, but I let my developers, or I let my even my leads. I have leads right now and managers under me, so I let them run their own show now. Okay, because I guess my style is really just getting that middle ground. I'm leaning towards, I still want the technology side, but I have to give them some slack because they're managers as well. They need to run their own shows. So yeah, to shortly answer your question, sorry Rafi, but to shortly answer your question, I always try to find the middle ground, macro and micro management.
And you did touch a little bit on this, no, about coding, no? And you mentioned as much as possible you give that to your lead. Is there anything in particular that you would be the one, like you would take charge in coding itself? And if you do, you have a stack that you prefer.
Yeah.
Or if not, then I guess you now pass the baton. In that
Yes,
sense.
yes. Well, funny thing that you mentioned it. Last year when COVID hit us, most of our budgets were cut. Definitely. All of the enhancements, all of the initiatives that we had planned out for last year was cut. So I don't blame the company. I mean, that's the only way to do it. I mean, to survive. Yeah, because of the situation, we had to adjust, we had to adapt. And there were instances that there were requirements from the business, okay, that would require coding, would require me to go into the system, create the objects, do the normal thing a developer would do. Unfortunately, it's been, I think, almost 2 years since I've really touched the system. So I had two choices. I had, of course, just two choices. It's either I say no, we don't have anyone to do it. I mean, I tell the business I don't have anyone to do it, and then I can just sit around and just wait for the budget to come. Or I can relearn it. I mean, take a few days and try to relearn it because I should know it. I should know it, but it's just that it's going to be hard. So I took the second option. It was funny because I was asking my other technical heads how do you do this? How do you do this? I know this is what I want to do, but I forgot how to do it. I think that's one example that push comes to shove, you have to roll your sleeves and then you just have to do it. I think that's what my management skills is also about, and that's how I am, I guess.
Right. And generally that also answers our next question on how you deal with the unexpected. It seems like if there's something unexpected, you're not afraid to be very hands-on. No.
Yeah.
Right. You just, aside from delegation, you also are very if you can't delegate, I'll be the one to be on top of that.
Correct.
Right.
So I think over the years, Rafi, we always think that with our experience, I think we've graduated 15 years ago, right? So we have 15 years experience already.
Yes.
You would think that you know everything, that experience taught you a lot, that it would prepare you for anything. But as you mentioned, you can't be prepared for everything. I mean, that is impossible, right? Especially with technology. Our industry moves like light. I mean, 2-3 years, anything that you've done would be probably obsolete already. You have to keep on learning, keep on adapting. So I think I've read a book about Navy SEALs. Navy SEALs. One thing that they do, and I think that's what I've been been trying to do, okay, over the years, is that they don't necessarily equip all of the things that they think they would need. Like, for example, they go into a mission, they don't really know all of the things that they need, right? I mean, if they equip everything that they need, they won't be able to move. I mean, if they all brought their weapons, they brought all the guns that they need. I mean, it's impossible, right? So what they do is that they just equip the things that they think is necessary for it, and then I think what they've been training for is that to expect the unexpected, as always. I mean, they're always prepared. They might not be equipped as they wanted to be, but they make the most out of it. And I think that's one thing I'm trying to master over the years. I know at certain point you can prepare as much as you can for a meeting, for a presentation, but questions will be asked that you won't be prepared. You be on your toes. So yeah, I just try to do my best. That's it. And whatever happens, let's see. That's it. I move with the waves.
Right. For our next question, for our audience, no,
Yes, sure.
which is we want to understand how your journey started, no? Even how you picked your college or how you picked your course, and after that, how you got your first job, until such a point that you landed being the EPM head, no? I know your college, of course. We were batchmates, no? But for our audience purposes that don't know, maybe you can tell your story.
Well, honestly, if you want to go that far, I mean, how did I pick my course? I just copied my friend's course. I don't know if you know Nico Medina or Raymond Medina. He's also an MIS. I remember we were picking courses. I honestly don't know what I wanted, okay, during college. I think my first choice was environmental science because when I was a child, I wanted to be a scientist. And I didn't get it because probably I heard that it was a quota course, so probably that's one reason I didn't get it. But my second choice was MIS, and I just copied it from my friend. And then he said that this is a new course. It's a hybrid of computer science and management altogether. That's what I remember he said. Okay, sounds good. And yeah, that's where I met you. That's where we started out. Picking the job. I think I started with Jollibee. I also started with Jollibee. Funny story. I was an OJT. And then after graduation, they picked me up. I mean, I just picked up where I left off. But sadly, I didn't last there for long. Probably spent less than a year, and then I moved to San Miguel. In San Miguel, that's where I became a BA, a business analyst for .NET. Yeah, for the small .NET systems that are created ground up within San Miguel. Okay, so this is just for a few hundred users. This is also where I was exposed to business intelligence. I think during our time, Rafi, business intelligence, even in college, it wasn't really taught. It was more programming, that was it, and then some management subjects, right? So this was really where I was first exposed in business intelligence. We used, of course, SQL, Microsoft SQL servers, and Microsoft Analysis. So that's the data warehouse for Microsoft. So this is where I first got exposed to it. I think I did it for 2 years, and then I moved to SAP, the SAP world, because I heard that they pay more. So so for your audience, if you want to pick a career, you want to start, pick SAP. They pay more. So yeah, so I moved to SAP because there was an opening, and I heard they do pay more. Okay. Unfortunately, within San Miguel, they didn't pay more. It was the same. It was the same. But it was, I think it was a lateral move because I moved to BW, or Business Warehouse, which is the data warehousing of SAP. So this is where I really had my strides and I worked up. where I worked up the ladder. I became a consultant. Worked on several projects, and eventually, before I left the company, I think I became the one of the youngest consulting managers there for business intelligence. And one good thing that we did was we consolidated all of the business intelligence needs of San Miguel into one group. Okay, so my old group, which was handling Microsoft analysis, moved into my existing group, which is also SAP BW. And then before I left, we were actually building the third tower for Telco BI. So I don't know if you remember, San Miguel tried to build their own
Yes.
telco.
Yep.
So I was part of that team I was part of the analytics team that would build that team. And unfortunately didn't fly. So but before I think the announcement were made, I left the company already. So I moved to AIG. Okay, so in AIG, I headed a team for BW as well for the business warehouse. But this time around, we were focused on financials and insurance data. Okay, so unlike with San Miguel, since it's a manufacturing company, we were exposed to a lot of types of data from a supply chain perspective. You got logistics, you got purchasing, you got finance. When I moved to AIG, it was purely financial data. But the challenge is it's a global company. So we were supporting 5,000 to 7,000 users across the globe. Okay? And being from a local company, the adjustment was really the shifts.
The time shift.
The time shifts, yeah, the shifting schedule. Before when I was with San Miguel and Jollibee, it was our time, our shift, Asia shift, or the Philippine time. There we had to do shifting depending on what your shift is. So there are three main shifts. You have your North America, you have your EMEA or Europe and Europe and Saudi Arabia companies. So and then you got Asia Pac. Okay, so which is our time zone. So that was really the challenge. And I think for a time I started getting sick actually because my body was just not getting used to it. But fortunately I was able to bounce back after a while. And what else? That after 4 years, one of the boss in Smiths actually left San Miguel or Smiths, went to Jollibee. Okay, and she said that there was an opening for analytics, and the opening was for a non-SAP system. Okay, so they were going to churn out POS data and any other data, which is I love because it's focusing more on big data. So I left AIG and went to Jollibee again. So that was the 360 degree comeback. And unfortunately, well, I don't know if it's unfortunately, but when I signed for Jollibee, I was expecting that I'd be transferred to non-SAP data. But what happened was they had a restructuring and reorg. So I went to SAP again because they saw that what my skill is, and they said that we need a data warehouse for SAP more than for the POS, because they already had an existing POS data warehouse, and they didn't have any for SAP. So I think eventually they figured, we need a data warehouse more in SAP because it's not existing. It's really hard. That's where I started, and that's where I am right now. So so I left. I joined Jollibee 2017. We implemented BW 2018, 2019. Okay, and a milestone for that is we implemented BW4HANA. So I don't know if a lot of people know, but it's one of the new products of SAP for data warehousing. So it's leveraging their HANA technology or in-memory technology for processing. So that was a milestone, and after that, 2019, we also embarked on Power BI.
Mm.
Okay, so that was also a first, I think. I'm not sure, but we've integrated Power BI to BW, and I haven't heard other companies doing it. It's usually if you have an SAP data warehouse, your visualization tool would also be SAP. Okay, but this time around, we wanted to experiment with Power BI, and we got a lot of advantages over the years using it.
Right.
So and now we're looking at our SNOP process, okay, to be automated. So we're still looking if it would be Anaplan. We're still evaluating if it's going to be Anaplan. So yeah, that's where I am right now.
Great, great. No? And I'll just add a little tidbit, no? Since you mentioned SAP HANA already. So guys,
Yeah.
HANA is a in-memory database. What does that mean? It's not using your traditional hard disk. So RAM siya, RAM, 'di ba? Alam naman natin gaano
Yes.
kamahal and gaano kabilis ang RAM.
Yes.
'Di ba? Imagine mo yung database mo nasa RAM.
Yes.
Right? So
Yes.
kaya siya mahal at kaya mabilis siya. Right?
Yes.
And
it's a good thing that you brought it up, Rafi, because at first we didn't believe it. That it would be that fast. Yeah, it would be fast. I thought that it was a marketing scheme. Kasi yung sales, di ba, bibentahan ka niyan eh. They say 10 times faster. Pero when we started out, I think we did a small POC eh. Kasi we wanted to test it out first eh. So we injected 1 billion records on it. 1 billion records, and then we queried on top of that 1 billion records. Seconds. Whatever aggregation you did, whatever count you did, 1 billion records, 1 billion rows pala, Rafi, and probably 500 columns.
wow.
That's how much data that we plugged it in there. So it holds up. It really holds up. One advantage of it is, diba, your usual data warehouse would be you do a lot of ETLs. Then you aggregate your data, you put it on an aggregated level. So that's where you put your reports in. This time around, what was the advantage that we got was our models were simpler. Okay, so in terms of physical data, we just had one big simple data tables across, and then we just used views to link all those tables together. So we didn't have to do an ETL and aggregate it into another table and then do the same thing and over. So it was so simple. It was so elegant. So all the requirements, if you have a new report that you want, we just create a new view. We don't need to load it into another table or anything. And that was it. I mean, development probably 30% or 40% faster because of that.
Great.
That was really the advantage.
And looking back, no, with all of these years, no regrets taking up MIS. Kahit nung time na yun, parang sumunod ka lang sa classmate mo, no? Sa
classmate ko.
No?
Yeah. Probably, yeah. Oh, kasi the other choices were, if I were to go to UST, HRM. Hotel, that's how undecisive I was at that time. Kasi yung choice ko sa UST was HRM, and then UP, I think architecture, and then Ateneo MIS. See, it didn't really make sense. So, if to answer your question, wala naman yata regret. I think the MIS was the best choice.
So again, students, if you are in a course na maybe hindi yan first choice nyo, no? Maybe i-time capsule nyo yun, no? And look back after 10, 15 years, no? And see how you grew from that choice, di ba?
Yeah.
Right. So, circuit, right? So many look at you, and now you're ahead. Basically, you'd be defined as successful, no? In your career. But in your words, what makes you successful, or how do you define success?
Honestly, before, I thought success was really measured by how much you earn. Kasi, di ba, we have to practical.
Kaya nag-SAP ka.
Kaya di ba nag-SAP from the first, di ba? I mean, that's how you define it, di ba? Pera. I think, at first that was it. Moving forward, pero as the years go by, now I treasure more is their experience. Eh. It's really the experience. Eh. Kasi when you converse with other people, the more experience you have, the more you're able to connect with anyone you meet in the industry. Especially if you move to another business and so on, it's not how much. I mean, they're not going to ask you, magkano ba yung kinita mo dati, di ba? They're not going to ask you that. Eh. The first thing that they're going to look at is your experience and your skill. And I think that for me right now, it's what defines success. Okay. In our work, but definitely in a personal level, syempre yung family ko yun, di ba?
Of course.
So, of course. Pero in terms of career, I think being successful in your career, it's really more about your experience and how much skill you've built up over the years. Okay, it's not. I'm probably in top of my mind or unconsciously. I just know that if I do build that experience, I do build that certain skill, susunod yung pera. Hopefully, secondary, it will follow. Probably unconsciously, it's still there, definitely. But yun talaga eh. Kasi a lot of people are asking me, even yung mga mas bata, when they have job offers and all, the first thing that they would ask me is okay ba to? Should I accept it? Kasi the first thing that I will ask is not how much eh. The first thing is will ask is may matututunan ka ba dyan? Okay, that's the first thing I ask all the time. Before I even give my advice eh. Then of course, mas mataas ba yung sweldo dyan? Diba? Second na yun eh. Pero yung first talaga is may what do you think you'll gain if you join the company? Okay, in terms of your experience, in terms of what you've learned. Yun talaga eh. Kasi at the end of the day, if you move into company kahit binabayaran ka ng malaki and you're not learning anything, magsa-stagnate at certain point, diba? So you're going to depreciate, I guess, for a lack of a better term. Magsa-stagnate ka and you'll depreciate eventually. So, yeah, I think yun talaga, experience, Rafi, and the skill I built over the years.
Right. And Kit, for our last question, basically, any advice on, wrap up advice, or basically itong term nila sinasabi, how to be you po.
How to be you po. I think I don't want you guys to be me. Kasi that's I want you guys to be better than me.
Wow.
I think that's the a better answer. Kasi even myself as I was I was growing up the ladder, as I was progressing with my career, when I was setting a goal, I would always set a goal higher than my boss. Parang ganon. If I wanted to be this person, I want to be better compared to that person. So in order for me to do that, what I always do is I take the good thing out of, kunyari, my boss, I always take the good thing and throw away the bad. And then if I meet another person, gusto ko yung ginagawa niya, I take the good rin. So I try to combine all this good. And yun yung strategy ko eh. So probably being practical, I think it's always just work hard. Yun pa rin naman eh, di ba? It's not rocket science or there's no secret sauce or formula about it. It's really just working hard. At the end of the day, sabi nila walang bobo. Okay? But I guess you really just need to work hard on it. You need to work on your craft. Especially since we're in the IT industry, sobrang bilis eh. You just need to adapt eh. If I actually nakakatawa nga kasi diba I became a teacher 2 years ago sa Ateneo. So I've been meeting a lot of the students. If I were to compare my 15-year-old self to them, sobrang layo. The disparity itself because of the technology, because of what they know, sobrang siguro because the knowledge or the information that they need to get where they are sobrang dali makuha compared to when we were kasi the internet were, although available na pero not as much as now na all the information is already there, di ba? So I'm assuming yung mga tao ngayon they just need to be faster, they just need to be they need to adapt quicker. I think that is my advice. Kasi if you're going to go into technology, what you know 3 years from now may be obsolete. So even if you get older, even if you think you're already a manager, it doesn't matter. I mean, hindi yata siya parang accounting na pag alam mo yung gap, di ba? Yung general accepted principles of accounting, pareho na rin yun. I mean, I think what it is 30 or 40 years ago, it's still the same now. Pero sa atin, I mean, it's not It's always different. It's always changing. So I think that's my advice.
Right, great, no? And again, audience, no? I hope you take that into account, no? And as Kit mentioned, no, look at all the positives of the bosses, the leaders, no? Check out other. Check the playlist out, no? Because later we have a lot of speakers here that you can learn from, no? From very top IT professionals of various background, no? One last question, singit ko lang to, which is any current pet project or passion, is it IT or non-IT related, no? Parang gusto lang namin malaman din if puro IT lang ba yung, aside from family, of course, no? Like, is there anything you're passionate or pet project at the moment?
Well, since the pandemic, kasi when we graduated, I've been into stocks na ever since. Even before Call Financial Days, manual pa nga after we graduated, wala pang Call Financial. When we graduated, manual yung stock. So I've been into stock trading na ever since. I got out probably around 5 years ago kasi I needed money. So I needed money. So I pulled out all my investment talaga. So I needed the money, so I used it. And then last year, kasi nga nag-pandemic, and then the stock just plunged into the abyss.
Para sing-sing yan, no?
Kasama na yata ako. Kasama na doon. Correct. So last year nga, like I was mentioning, talagang nag-plunge yung stock market, di ba?
Yes.
2020, around summer, March. So, tiningnan ko na, nakita ko na, shit, I mean, everything is in discount, everything is on sale. Ganun yung perspective ko. So, I went back to stocks. I think I did good profit-wise. Okay naman, at the end, YTD-wide. Pero the problem was, when we opened the we opened the year today, nag-plunge ulit tayo. We know na nag-ECQ na naman tayo, nag-lockdown, so the market became bear again. So I had to pull up some of my stocks again kasi my money kasi I don't want to be exposed. So ganun din ako as a stocks trader. I always manage my risk. So I had to pull it out again and try to lay low kasi I don't know where the market is going to be. So I've been doing that for 2 months. I'm not doing anything. I'm just monitoring the market. And then of course nandiyan na si crypto, 'di ba? Since last year naririnig ko na. I didn't know what it was. I didn't understand what it was. I just know Bitcoin. You say crypto, yun lang yung alam ko last year. Bitcoin, that's it. And then some of my friends started na nga yung crypto. And I didn't know what it was. So yun, nag-research ako about it. I read about it. So basically, for people who do not know crypto, it's a coin. It's a virtual coin. And what's happening right now is that think of it as they're trading it like stocks.
Yep.
So instead of shares, they're trading coins. So ngayon, that's my thing now. I'm doing it. Medyo bear nga yung market. So parang wala na yata Umalis ako ng stocks ngayon, bupasok ako, bear pa rin.
Mga 2 days pa naman. 2 days pa lang.
2 days pa lang. 2 days pa lang, yeah. But yeah, I think other from my family and from work, this is what I'm doing. Another thing pala, I didn't mention this. What Kasi in terms of analytics, if you look at my analytics background, what is lacking is data science.
Actually, yeah.
If you
I
if you
assume
look at
na
my
meron. Oo.
pero wala. Kasi
Interesting. Oo.
if you talk about analytics kasi, there's always two parts eh. The data science part, the statistical one, and then the IT part or the data warehouse part. I'm the data warehouse part ever since. Okay? So usually if you have statisticians, you have data scientists, they come to you kasi they need the data. Pero they don't know if the source is really on the rawest form, let's say on the web. They need the data, let's say they need to scrape the data off the web, or they need to aggregate the data from the POS or whatever other systems. They wouldn't know how to do it, yung mga data scientists, kasi they're not IT eh. They know how to do the models, to do their forecasting or to do their analysis, but they don't know how to, the know-how to get it from the source. So yun yung alam ko, yun yung alam natin as IT. But ako naman, ang hindi ko alam is what are they doing with the data as data scientists? Kasi they're running regression models doon eh, statistical regression models, whatever it is, which I do not understand kasi you need to have a good background in statistics, and bumaksak ako ng statistics noong NS tayo. So I think my statistics is at that very low. So anyway, ngayon at the side, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to learn Python. Kasi I think Python is a good, from what I've learned, I heard and what I've read, it's a good fundamental to learn if you want to learn R and eventually data science. So yun, on the side, I'm trying to do it again. It's another coding practice na naman, Rafi. So you know how it is. I know it's almost the same, but it's a different language altogether. So you have to relearn again. Yun lang.
Right.
So yun yung challenge.
Yeah. So good luck on that endeavor, no? Kasi after that, baka umabot ka rin sa machine learning na isa pa yan, no?
Actually, next level na yun. Next level.
Alright. So thank you so much, no? Thank you for your time. Medyo
welcome, Rafi.
Humaba yung kwentuhan natin, and I hope yung audience natin was able to learn more, no, on what the path is for them, and following either you or being, like you said, being more than you pa nga yung target.
Yeah. Right. Thank you, Ren, for inviting me, Rafi. It's an honor to be in this session with you.
So guys, that's it. Thank you so much. And if you have any questions or concerns or any feedback, you can always leave it in the comment below. No, you can. And then we'll also put links in the description box so that you can find out more about KIT and also our programs. Right. Thank you, everyone, and goodbye.
Thank you. Bye, guys. Stay safe.
Stay safe. And of course, if you like our content, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and notification bell. Thank you.